Imagine a world where everyone gets to wake up feeling inspired. They get to do work they believe in and be supported as they live out their life purpose. This is the kind of world that I dream of and the world that I want you to get to live in. Let's talk about a few ideas to find a job and a career that you love. This topic of doing work that you love is something that I'm so passionate about because I'm really grateful that I have a life where for the last 10 years I've been able to constantly pursue my passion, and then now I've ended up having an actual career where I get to do what I love. And when I started out, I didn't think it would actually work out. But along the way, I've learned such incredible lessons, and I've just seen how life, the universe, God seems to have a way of, it's like we've got a destiny written out for us, and it's our job just to follow that with courage and persistence. And when we don't, the result of that is when we live these really flat lives that don't have any life in them. And so what I want for you is that you get to live the most extraordinary, fulfilling, meaningful life where you're contributing to something that you believe in, where you're alive. Like when I am full of ideas. I am so full of ideas, and it's the best feeling in the world. And I just want everyone to get to experience that. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 8 steps that I've walked through, sometimes multiple times, in order to get to the point where I'm actually doing work that I believe in and that I love. We spend most of our time alive working. And then even when we're not working in our youth, we're still working towards the point where we are working. And so to me, it seems like such a waste that so many humans are not doing work that really lights them up. Because when I'm doing work that lights me up, it's like, man, I could do so much work and it doesn't feel like anything. It's like I'd rather do work than even play because it just all blends in together. Like the boundary between work, life, play, leisure, social, like all of it just combines all together because it's like there's so much purpose in my life. So let's get into step number 1. Figure out a direction. I'm specifically saying a direction because sometimes people are like, find your passion, find the thing that you love. But for me, I knew from a young age that I wanted to work in media, and that was a direction. And I knew why I wanted to work in media, to put out positive messages in the world. But there are still thousands of different ways that someone could do that. And then I found a direction too. It was like, okay, do I want to sell toothpaste or would I rather sell like social good causes? There are 2 things to consider within the category of direction. There's the type of work you would do, like what is the actual thing that you'd be doing on a job, and then there's the cause that you would be contributing to. So do you have a passion for conservation or for building things or for nature? Whatever that is, those are 2 different things. And to give you an example, the type of work that I like to doing is creative stuff. But the more that I practice, specifically, I tend to prefer video stuff over design work. And then in terms of the cause section, I get to choose if I want to work for a nonprofit or a for-profit company. And in terms of nonprofit, there's all kinds of different causes. And then on the business side, there's like, I can work for a doctor's office, or I could work for Coca-Cola, or I could work for Nike, or I could work for Hollister. Those are all kinds of different companies that are creating different kinds of worlds. Step 2 is to try it. You've got to experience what it's like to move in that direction. Now, I know this sounds broad, and I'm specifically keeping broad because the idea here is you've just got to like get it in your body. Like for me, when I knew I wanted to make videos, I just had to pick up my camera and start shooting stuff and see what it felt like. And of course, at the beginning, it feels awkward, but the more that you experience it, the more that you see if it's something that just sits well with your soul. So let's say the direction is you just want to work with people. You know that you like connecting with people. And maybe a career counselor tells you that a future direction could be HR. But let's say you're at a point now in your life where you're still a student and you can't get a job in HR yet. Well, you can still do things like enroll yourself in extracurriculars where you get to be kind of the HR person, the recruiting person, or the training person. There are different ways that you can still get to connect with people and see if you genuinely want a career where you're working with people. And do you want to work with people in groups, or do you want to work with people one-on-one? The experience of actually getting experience, moving in a particular direction, helps you to figure out what aspects you like, what you don't, and it just helps you clarify what you want. So for example, when I first was exploring what it meant to work in media, and I was learning about what it meant to work in TV, radio, and the film industry, I realized that I don't really, I still want to work in media, but I don't want to have to fit into someone else's box. So with radio, you're usually doing a radio show, and you don't have that much choice over the music that you play. So I realized that while I still want to work in media, I don't actually want to go in radio. And that experience, that clarity in my direction, I can only figure out from actually giving it a shot. So even if you're working a job right now and you want to find another job that you love, there are still ways that you can still experience something new. You can take classes, you can join associations. If you live in a city, there's so many things that you can just sign up for and give it a shot and meet people who work in that industry. Step 3 is to invest in it. This means investing your time, potentially your money, and your energy into learning the craft, into just immersing yourself in it. This is why going to university or going to school to change careers or get a new job works. That sign of putting money down, first of all, it surrounds you with people who are moving in the same direction. It's like a mental contract that we make to ourselves that we are going to go for this and we are going to make the most of this opportunity to learn. And let's say if you don't have money to invest right now, you can still invest time. You can still volunteer your skills. You can still get involved. There's always something you can do. The key with investing in it is there's an element of committing. There are so many stories of people who bought cameras knowing that it was going to be an investment. And the idea was because they put money down, they would actually take photos and try to make a creative career happen. And because they actually invested in the camera, they made the career happen. The next step then is to practice. Practice that craft. Find a way to incorporate more and more of it into your life. This could be in your off hours. This could be signing up for a course. There's just ways that you've got to flood your mind and your heart with this new direction. And the more that you practice it, the better at it you're going to get. And this applies to any field and any skill. In every job, there are things that you do repeatedly that make the job what it is. And there's ways that you can get better at it. If you're a researcher, learn how to research smarter. If you're a writer, write better. If you're a designer, learn from better designers and then practice. The more you design and the more that you actually create or you actually do the thing that you want to do, the more clear you're going to get if this is something that you really want to do for the rest of your life. And the bonus is you're also going to get better at it so that you can potentially get paid for it. So let's say you've practiced now and you're getting better and better at it and you're ready to try and get a job at it. Your next step is to pray for it. This is something that is not practical career advice, but I'm including in this because the element of connecting with your soul, with God, with a higher power of your understanding, whatever it is, there's an element of just intending that you want to get paid for it, that you want to move in this direction. And it does something credible. It's like providence and the gears of heaven move to help you and doors will begin to open. But it's something in your heart that is like, I am ready to go for this and I am going to do it. The beautiful thing about prayer too is that it teaches you to surrender. It reminds you, and it always reminds me that I'm not doing this alone, that there's a bigger plan for my life, and that I just want to fulfill that plan to the best of my abilities. Step 6 is to be patient and persistent. To get a job getting paid to do what you love is 100% possible, but for a lot of people, it doesn't happen overnight. In fact, in the process of making this video, as I reflected on my own journey, I realized that I actually started to dabble in media 10 years ago when I was a teenager in high school. And now there's a saying that it takes 10 years to create an overnight success. Now, I am by no means an overnight success, and I don't even think it looks like I'm an overnight success. But my point is that it takes time, and that's just the reality. And when I was younger, I was very impatient. I really wanted things to happen, and I also was terrified that I needed to make my life work out now, otherwise my parents would think I'm a failure. But now I have so much patience, and I realize that this is a lifelong process. I am doing work that I love, but there's still so much more work I want to do that I love as well. And so be okay with it being a process. Be patient throughout the whole thing, but still be persistent. So keep doing all of the other steps I just mentioned. Keep practicing, keep trying things out, keep getting better. The next step is to actually apply to jobs. It seems straightforward, right? But sometimes, and I'll speak for myself, I think there are times when I want to do something and I just keep thinking about it and I forget that I actually have to apply. Like if I want to travel, I actually have to book a ticket. Otherwise, it's just an idea. So as you do all the steps, you'll naturally start connecting with other people who are in the field. You'll start figuring out what it means to work in this industry, and then you've got to start applying to jobs. And even if it takes you 2 years or 5 years of applying, if you actually keep doing it and you're patient and persistent, you're going to land a job, and it's going to set you on the path. So I've always been the type that's very intentional about how I apply to jobs. I know there are people who will throw out 50 resumes and they're thinking that they'll pick up whatever they get. But I have decided, and this is just kind of how the way my brain works, I always figured out exactly what I wanted, and I was pretty clear on what industry I wanted to work, what kind of company, what role I wanted to do, and then I would start applying. So that by the time I'm looking at job postings, I'm pretty clear on what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And if there's a job that I genuinely don't want to do, I don't even bother applying. Now, you can pick which strategy works for you, the apply to 50 jobs or apply to 3 jobs. In my experience, applying to 3 jobs that I really like and then being patient and persistent through the whole process, that has worked out. But the point is you've got to just apply to jobs. And sometimes just the process of looking at job postings and doing interviews, it will help build your confidence too. And if you don't get any job interviews, then that's okay. Maybe you just need to keep building your craft, invest again, just keep going for it, because the awesome thing about being on the journey of looking for work that you love is that you will actually find it. You are guaranteed to land in work that you love. It might take long and you might learn 100 lessons along the way, but it is so worth it. The final thing to do is to rinse and repeat. Even though I'm doing work that I love right now, I'm still going through this process because I'm constantly refining my direction, trying new things, figuring out what I want, practicing my craft, doing better, and being patient and persistent. So rinse and repeat. If you do this cycle once, maybe it can take you 2 weeks and you've done the whole thing. Maybe it'll take you 3 years to walk through all of these steps. But just keep doing it. This is a lifelong process. Even people who we think are at the top of their field, they're still doing this. This is why basketball players, after they're done in the NBA, they reinvent themselves, or pop stars reinvent themselves. There's always the next evolution of what we can do and contribute to the planet. If you've already been going through this process of looking for work that you love for a long time and you're still looking for that job, please trust that it's all adding up to something bigger and more beautiful than you can even imagine. I just know it. The times when I've had to wait, I'm always so glad that I waited, because the job that I ended up getting was perfect for me, and the lessons that I learned in the months leading up to that job were perfect. So as you're going through this process, don't get frustrated. Just keep creating, keep practicing, and know that different people are going to get different things at different times. This mentality of trusting that I'm going to get the exact right thing for me at the right time is something that really helps me get out of comparison-itis, which is when we're comparing ourselves to each other so much. You might have peers who seem to land what they want faster, but you know what? Maybe they discover that's not even what they want. It's way better to just be centered in your direction, knowing clearly what you want to do in life, and then working to create it. Following these steps is how I got paid to travel, how I got paid to create content and make videos. In the beginning, I didn't know it would work out, but what I talk about in this video is exactly, it's the right success mindset that makes sure that you are not living on autopilot, but that you're actually actively creating your life. And yes, this process does mean that you're not going to get to live life on autopilot. You won't get to be lazy. It means that when you get a job, you can't just coast in it. You're constantly going to be growing and improving. But to me, that's exciting. Like, that's what life is about. I don't want to coast it. I don't want to live on autopilot. There's so much I want to create and do that why not go for it? So please do not give up on your journey to finding a job that you love. I know that it's out there and I want you to get to experience it. Even I want to experience it more and more and more. So let me know if you guys have any questions about this. Just leave them in the comments below. I am more than happy to answer. I love talking about this because I honestly wish that everyone was empowered to do work that they love. If you want to join me in this creative journey where we learn, create, and find more jobs that we love, join me over on Instagram too, at Anita Wingley. And of course, you can subscribe. That's it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next one.